Welcome to the jungle and welcome to Movie Review Mom. Thanks for subscribing and be sure and ring that little bell, or it's actually down below, but it looks like that. Go ahead and click on it and then you'll be notified every time I upload a new movie review. And be sure to also visit our Facebook group called Movie Review Mom and my website, moviereviewmom.com. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Well, that's the first one. This one is called The Next Level. Jumanji 3 or 4. Actually, I'm kind of losing count. But anyway, this movie is rated PG-13. It's 2 hours and 3 minutes long. And the movie review mom grade that I'm going to give it is a B+. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to give you a quick nutshell and tips for parents, talk about some themes and some things I liked and didn't like as fast as I can, because I know you're busy. You got to get off to the movie theater. Anyway, we are back in the popular Jumanji video game and franchise with this action sequel directed by Jake Kasdan. This is an entertaining action flick and it includes some new characters or players, some new locations, some new subplots, and some new skills. As expected, this movie takes the old story to a new level. The key to the success of this franchise, I believe, is just one word: fun. These movies are silly, goofy, fun, and just what we want this time of year. When Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle opened in theaters last time, it was also up against Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which everyone assumed would just crush box office sales and leave the Jumanji video movie just in the dust. Instead, audiences loved both movies and they both did really well, as in billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. Well, time for a repeat because they're both headed to compete again in theaters this Christmas season. If you liked the last movie, you'll definitely get a kick out of this one. If you didn't like the last one, pick a different movie to watch. There are millions of them in theaters right now. There are tons of great choices, and this is more of the same fun and nonsense from the last movie. So some tips for parents are: there is some profanity. Most of it is uttered by Danny DeVito's crusty character. Danny DeVito's character, by the way, sleeps with a C-pap machine. So kids may not know what that is. You can explain how it helps people breathe while they're sleeping. And that's always a good thing. There's some violence. I mean, it's Jumanji, so all of the Jumanjis are very similar in that vein. There is talk of various private body parts, like in the last movie, which some people may find offensive and unnecessary. But because there's a switching of bodies, it's sort of a natural conversation. And some people think that's hilarious, and some people just go, okay, whatever. Your kids may want you to explain what a eunuch is, because there's mention of that. And then there are people and animals in perilous situations. Now, some themes that are worth talking to your kids about, especially if you watch this movie with them, are change and overcoming your insecurities, fear, friendship, unity. And what's interesting is the premise of this movie is actually a serious statement on the pull of the virtual world. One of the characters wants to escape reality and feel better about himself by going back into the video game where his avatar was much better than he was. He was Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. So, of course, he would want to feel better about himself and be Dwayne Johnson. Wouldn't we all? And we all want to feel more confident. That part of the story, it's developed a little bit, but of course it's just used as an excuse to get the story going and to have another sequel. But it's definitely worth something talking about with your kids, because the virtual world does allow us to be different people, and oftentimes people that we'd rather be, but in real life circumstances and situations, or how we look and how we act just don't match how awesome we can be in a virtual world. Anyway, have a conversation with your kids about that, because that could be a really enlightening conversation for you as a parent. Speaking of parents, aging is a very strong theme in the movie, brought by the characters of Danny DeVito and Danny Glover. It's really fun to see them. And that subplot actually provides the most tender moments, I think, as well as some running gags about how old people don't understand technology very well. It's actually a really, really cute element, and the one that really brought the heart of the movie to me. Director Jake Kasdan was really interested in telling a story from different perspectives related to the phases of life that characters are in. And he stated, just because you're older doesn't mean you stop discovering things about yourself. And I loved that, especially if you're going to be watching this movie with your kids and you might dismiss it as just, a kid movie. There is something there for parents as well and grandparents. Now, some other things that I really liked are that it's great to see our favorite characters again. But wait, there's more. There's twists. They don't come out the way you think that they're going to be. And that provides a really delightful twist, actually. Danny DeVito and Dwayne Johnson combo. That's awesome and hilarious. And this is actually the first collaboration of Danny Glover and Danny DeVito since their movie, I'm Still Here. We also see Kevin Hart impersonating Danny Glover's character. This is the slowest and most calm I've ever seen Kevin Hart, which was delightful and refreshing. He actually does a really nice impression of Danny Glover. And it was just nice because sometimes Kevin Hart could just be manic and chaotic and a little too much. So it was nice to see him so controlled. And that was really impressive to me because I know his natural personality is to have all that energy. So it was really good. Aquafina is also a really fun surprise as Ming, and she also does a really good impression of Danny DeVito. Jack Black filmed a bunch of behind the scenes footage that he called Jablinski Games on his YouTube channel. So you have to check that out. And I thought he had just some of the funniest lines in the movie as Bethany. And I just really like Jack Black. I've been a fan for years. And so it's just fun to see him. The desert dune scenes were filmed at the Glamis Dunes in California because you wonder, you're like, whoa, that's a cool location. Where did they do that? And then I also loved seeing Bebe Neuwirth. She's in a very short scene, and I've always been such a fan of hers for many years as well. Younger people may not know her. And I don't know why she's not listed in the cast on IMDb. I thought that was kind of strange. It's a short scene, but I was just happy to see her, and I went, oh, look at her. I got just a kick out of the running gag of swapping bodies, and I felt like it was absolutely needed and a very clever way to keep this new addition in the franchise fresh, to offer something different. Because honestly, the story and the plot are kind of similar. We've seen it before. We know where it's going. So I loved the whole element, and I thought it was brilliant. Some of the CGI looks really great, particularly the scene with the vicious mandrills and the cool set pieces. There are a lot of really cool set pieces in this movie. There's a lot of back and forth banter between characters, and that provides most of the humor. And like I said, the movie has lots of humor and lots of heart. I'm glad that they actually played that Guns N' Roses song, Welcome to the Jungle, just at a perfect moment where you're like, yeah. Now, some things that I didn't really like are that the film actually gets a rather slow start. And I was kind of surprised because the typical formula for action movies is start the movie out with some action and a bang, then back up, come back to the characters, get into the action again. But it kind of starts off kind of slowly, and you're like, all right. There's lots of exposition, not only at the beginning to kind of establish what's happening, but many times during the movie to explain what's happening. And that can get a little old. It's helpful at times because you're like, well, what is happening? Um, but anyway, there are some super fake looking stunts, although many of the stunts are actually very good, but the fake ones were very, very obvious. The plot line is pretty thin as motivation for the gang to get all back together in the video game, but I get it. And if you haven't seen the reboot Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, the newest in the franchise, you're definitely going to be confused. So you definitely want to watch that movie first if you can, and then it'll just be more fun. You'll just really enjoy it much better, I think. Unlike the Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, there aren't as many references to the very first 1995 movie in the franchise. Sadly, this villain is forgettable, and the task that the gang has to accomplish is kind of forgettable and kind of seems pointless. No, well, not pointless. There is a point to it. It just doesn't seem super awesome, I guess. And then one of my big complaints about this movie is knowing that the characters can die twice before truly being in danger really drops the tension immensely. It's not until the characters only have one bar left. You know, when they look on their arm, they see three. You're like, yeah, they're fine. They fall off a cliff. Yeah, they're fine. Finally gets down to that one bar, and then you're like, oh no. So that's bad because you want to have this tension building. It does build as they continue to lose bars. No spoiler alert there, but you just don't really worry about them until they get that last bar. I won't say anymore. The plot is pretty similar to the last one, and I guess people are going with the idea of is if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Um, be sure, that's my quick overview of the movie. Whoops. But if you want more details, go to my website, moviereviewmom.com, where I have a list of tons of really funny lines, as well as really interesting lines. Let's see if I can tell you one right now. Well, here's a theme of the movie. This is an interesting line. This is Danny DeVito, and he says, getting old is a gift. I forget that sometimes, but it is. All right. I mentioned how aging is a theme. All right. If you haven't seen any of the movies in this franchise, I highly recommend all of them. I think they're all really well done. They all have humor and heart and plenty of action. I hope you have a great time at the theater. I know you're going to enjoy this if you see it. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.